Yeah, New York football and our government. I got a confession I got to make. First and foremost, I am a Giants fan, New York football Giants fan, but I also root for the Jets as well. Talked about this. Best friends got season tickets, and I go to a lot of games. You couldn't drag me to a game at this point in time. I don't care how great the tailgate is. I can't watch this nonsense. I really can't. I actually mentioned, I think on the radio show, I'm thinking about becoming a part-time Detroit Lions fan just because the head coach, I think, is just fantastic. But anyway, New York football and our government. New York football didn't get to this state overnight. Many poor choices compounded upon one another year after year after year. And you end up with this mess. I got to admit as well. 6 o'clock this morning, I'm at the gym and listen to my usual podcast there. But I had to flip on the New York sports station at 6 a.m., the Boomer and Geo program, to listen to their analysis of what's going on with the Giants. Couldn't help myself. But anyway, the Giants, they're going to run out the clock this year. They're going to take 3 steps back. 3 steps back, and hopefully in order to take many steps forward, get a better draft pick, have more money. There's a myriad of different things. And again, they're in a difficult position. You have a salary cap in the NFL. You can't do the things that you might not need to do. You don't know who you're going to get in the draft, all sorts of stuff. Now, what does that have to do with government? Sometimes, sometimes you really, things have to get worse. Like I said, taking a few steps back to take many steps forward. What's going to happen? What's going to happen is, and I hope it happens, reducing government spending, eliminating government waste is going to have an effect. You're going to see GDP numbers drop. And unfortunately, many people out there are going to take this in the media and say, oh my God, look at Trump took office and GDP has dropped. It was better under Biden. And again, they're liars. They're liars. They know exactly what's taken place. And they're using this for political gain. It's going to hit employment as well. But it's what we need. It's what the doctor ordered. Like the New York Giants, they do not need to win any more football games this year. What I like, everybody wants to see them. Yeah, that's all well and good, but we all need to understand that. It's about getting a better draft choice. Now, who's to say that draft choice is going to work out? And you go out there and you play the games, and I get it, okay. But you're talking about a government. You're talking about 50 years. 50 years we have gone nuts. Past few decades, since really the turn of the century, it's gone out of its mind. I mean, you talk about it. It's 2004. The national debt's gone from $8 trillion to $36 trillion. We had everything under control in 2000. Clinton was on his way out the door with Newt Gingrich. They got it under control. Why do we have so much inflation? Why have things gone nuts? And again, I even like to think about it in terms of even government bonds back in the 1990s, and they're much higher than they were now, and nobody really fretted over it. No one really fretted over it. Didn't really bother. Now we got, interest rates and mortgage rates are up around, high 6s, closer to 7. Everybody has a heart attack, for crying out loud. And I'm like, okay, we're that addicted? We're that addicted to, artificially low rates? We have got distortions in our economy, which are it's bad. We talked about consumer goods, unproductive, nonsensical government jobs, people that are not doing anything. This facade, this appearance, this fugazi, as I've called it, here of, all this economic growth, economy is just awesome. No. Interesting here, and some numbers I'm going to repeat. I've talked about them before. 2023, 25% of all job additions were government jobs. Last 12 months, government jobs increased by an average of 43,000 per month. GDP figure, government spending accounted for 30% of annualized growth. Again, and I hope they do, if Vivek and Elon are successful, guess what? GDP is going to drop and the unemployment rate is going to go up. But it is going to be a good thing. We need to take our medicine. I've often described it. I talked about it this past weekend on the radio show. Think of recessions. And this is we need a self-inflicted recession via getting rid of government spending, getting rid of these jobs. It is like a lymphatic system. We're getting rid of all of the crap that we've been doing to ourselves for decades now. Again, you think about, all of this spending and all of the economists out there and everything that's been taking place. It's all been a lie. This Keynesian nonsense that they have pushed upon us, it doesn't make any sense. You want to be as productive as possible. And all this Keynesian has nothing to do with productivity. It has everything to do with the old, Milton Friedman digging with spoons that we've talked about here on the program. Creating jobs, digging holes and filling them up. I mean, making no sense. If we do this, like I said, and God willing, like I said, I'm hopeful. We are going to get ourselves back to a hyper growth type of an economy. Again, many younger people out there, you've never experienced anything like this. I mean, you got to go back to 80s and 90s to see that type of dynamic growth, and it's what we're capable of doing. And again, I remember Obama and Biden thought that they were going to do that. They were going to get the government growing because they were coming out of the worst recession going, right? Great recession. Should have popped, except they believed in all this Keynesian nonsense and government spending and running it out of Washington, D.C. And they kept trying and they kept trying and they kept trying. Again, the definition of stupidity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. But they kept doing it. Oh, Joe Biden is going out there. He's touting Recovery Summer. Joe Biden, remember, he was also in charge of the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act, right? Because nobody messes with Joe. Failure. Then it came time towards the end of Obama's term, and Obama just threw his arms up in the air and he said, well, you know what? Those days where America could have that hyper-economic growth, those days, the 3-4%, those days are gone. They weren't real in the first place. No, Barack, no, leftists, they were real. They happened. The problem is you. The problem is you and your ridiculous belief that you can control and engineer economy out of Washington, D.C. WatchDog on wallstreet.com.